I have no desire to take part in an escape room. I don't need to escape a room. First of all, I'm already out. So why would I go in to get out? And it costs money, so that doesn't make sense. Where's the pressing need to escape something that I paid to get in? You'd think if you paid, you want to stay in. The other thing is they think I'm an idiot. No, no, just listen to me for a second. Going into it, they say, "Oh, you can't solve our puzzles, and you can't, there's a challenge." They're assuming my intelligence. Of course, I could get out. What are these puzzles going to be? I got to look around for a note that someone left to turn a thing or arrange a shape. I've seen movies. Steve Weiner here from GetRubix.com, and today we're going to take a look at an important feature of Windows 365 Cloud PCs, which is how to set up the ability to kind of restore them to a previous checkpoint, which, was very important last week. I stopped laughing, maybe it's a little too soon, but I'm going to show you how to take advantage of that today. They don't think I'm clever enough to get out? Let me tell you something. I'll get out. There's no problem. I'll get out. If I went in, which I'm not going in.
Get Rubix, solving for the modern workplace.
Okay, so of course we all know that last week was a debacle. Oh, it's been a week. Today's Friday, so congrats to everyone who survived through it. But the CrowdStrike issue in that file, a lot of folks had to essentially go through and try to go back. I know with Azure Virtual Desktops, it was especially an issue because you had to disconnect the disk and do a bunch of stuff to it, get a new VM, attach it. It was a mess. I never want to be like this to be fear mongering or, oh, you should use this product or else. And that's not the case. But I do think sometimes these big events help showcase if a certain product has, a feature to it, and that feature ends up being a benefit in something like this. It's important to explore it. So, hey, if that works and we can be proactive next time, it's a tool in the arsenal, right? So, it's not to say, hey, you have to use this to avoid an issue like CrowdStrike in the future, but, it's just kind of the more you know type of stuff. So we're here in Intune. I'm going to go to Devices. We're going to go to Windows and Windows 365, and then we're going to head over to User Settings. So in these default user settings, I want to go over some of these. So this point-in-time restore service allows you to kind of snapshot the Cloud PC back to a specific, point in time. Of course, you would lose any user data that wasn't synced to OneDrive, so something to be aware of. So you have two main options. The first is, do you want to allow the user to initiate their own? Totally up to you if you want them to be able to tick that off. I just have mine set to automatically do it every 12 hours. And you can go as little as 4 or up to 24 hours. But, 12 hours is good. Basically twice a day it's going to back up. You do have the option to look at this cross-region disaster recovery. There is a good Microsoft piece on it that kind of talks about what happens if the issue you're experiencing is localized to a certain area. You can then have backups stored somewhere else. So that's up to you. I would say that's more of a disaster recovery strategy than anything else. So I'm not really touching that here. Obviously, it wouldn't have impacted the CrowdStrike issue, so we're going to leave that alone. But how does this work, right? So let's go ahead and take a look. I have that on. Let's take a look at our devices. So I have a few different Cloud PCs here. Let's look at Rick's Cloud PC. Okay, so if I look at this device and go to restore points, you can see the automatic restore points here pretty much happening every 12 hours, and you have the ability to restore to that. And I'm going to walk you through the process. So, and you could manually create one if you wanted to, but let's say there was an issue with the Cloud PC. So let's go ahead and log in. I'm going to pull a different window to use a different account. So Windows 365.microsoft.com. Okay, we're going to use Rick. We're going to sign in. Okay, so this is Rick's PC, and I am going to go ahead and I'm going to use that. Okay, so I'm logged into my Cloud PC and as Rick, and let's say for whatever reason, Rick figures out how to damage or compromise his PC in some way. All right, so for the purposes of this demonstration, I went ahead and I'm installing Python just to give an example of maybe something that I don't want on the PC, or this is an action that, we ultimately are going to want to reverse. Let's pretend Rick's installing this. Maybe he was allowed to, but then we discovered there's a known issue with a certain version of an app. Okay, so that's finished, and I now have Python installed on the PC, and it's actually here, and you can see that's the command for it. And for whatever reason, let's say that is a bad thing, and I can't fix this myself as a user, and ultimately it corrupted my system in a way where, we don't want it on there. Okay, so let's take a look at what we can do from Intune. So obviously with Rick's PC here, we can look at today, and we can see how we can, roll this back. So this one looks like it was from about 2 hours ago. So if I go here, it's 9:37. Yeah. So 2 hours ago, obviously, would be enough to go back. Maybe to be safe, I could even go back to yesterday before this was, this was an actual issue, and to a point where we don't have Python. I'm just going to click on yesterday's, and I'm going to click restore this version. And from the end user perspective, we're going to wait for that command to hit. So we can already see that I've been told the PC is shutting down. And it's going to take a little bit of time for a restore, so obviously user communications are important. So we'll close that. And let's see what's actually happening here. You can see the status, so that what Rick can see is restoring Cloud PC. So we know exactly what's going on, and we'll know when it's ready here. If we go back to Intune, let's go back to Devices, Windows 365. And we go look at our Cloud PCs. We're gonna see right now mine is still provisioned, but Rick's is going through a restoring process, right? So we'll know when that's done, and we can let the user know when to kick back online. So while we're waiting for that, I want to talk about another action we can perform, which is a bulk restore. Because think about it, you're impacted by an issue. It's nice that we can click on that machine, hit restore, and pick a date. However, if you have many Cloud PCs affected, that's not going to be really efficient. So let's take a look at this. So in the event that you have some kind of endpoint security software that decides to go rogue and place a bad driver on your machine, what you can do is, when you're looking at all your PCs, you can select bulk device actions, select OS, we'll do Windows, and the device type will be Cloud PCs. So now you're going to be presented with a bunch of device actions that are specific to only your Windows 365 PCs. Now you can see one of them is restore. Now, sure, they all have different restore points because they might be on different schedules, but you'll be able to say, hey, let's go back to anything prior to that date. So you'll be able to say before specified date and time, right? Or whichever is closest. So as long as you can do this, so imagine we wanted to go back to Friday the 21st, or even say, we'll say Thursday, and you want to go back to midnight on Thursday, you would be able to do that. You would be able to say before a specified date and time. And once you hit next, basically every PC that you have is going to check in with its closest restore point before that. And this will be done in bulk, so you don't have to go into each one and reprovision. All right, so we're going to go back to Rick's PC, and it looks like that was enough time. That took overall just under 20 minutes. Obviously, I cut some of that out, but you figure 20 minutes to restore. It's not too bad. So I'm going to go back. My Cloud PC was restored, and I'm going to open it in the browser. We're going to log back in, and we're going to make sure Python is gone. All right, so we are logged back into the PC, and as you can see, the Python is not there. Now, let's just make sure. We're going to go to, let's call AppWizCPL and just check the programs. And none of that should be there. Yep, there's no Python, none of the IDEs. So, okay, so we were able to go back in time, essentially, to a place before I did that. And, you know, if this were the case of last week, you'd be able to go back and run a remediation on all these to clean up that file before it ever happened, and you'd be good to go in about 20 to 30 minutes altogether, given the prep time. This is a really strong feature of Windows 365. I think overall it represents a simplicity in the virtual desktop space. Yes, in the fact of how the system works, you buy a license to get a PC, and I've talked about it in the past, but it kind of has to go beyond provisioning. It has to go to management, and it has to go to how do you manage it in when you have these kind of situations where like it's crisis mode and you got to fix things. And I think in terms of everyone that went through a bad time last week, for Windows 365 machines, they had the easiest path to recovery. It was just super simple to restore an individual machine, or like I showed you, do a bulk restore. So let me know your thoughts. Are you using Windows 365? What do you think of it? And also, if you're not using Windows 365, I would love to know the reason, because I still see folks considering it versus other solutions. Maybe it's money, maybe it's something else, but feel free to let us know in the Discord. We'll be seeing you.